For those of you, who have Aspergers and have sexual paraphilias, and you want to sort them out and you want to figure out what they are, don't get too lost in them. Don't get too hung up on them because they can get you into trouble. Like me, for instance, I love a woman's thighs, a woman's legs. I want to touch, I want to caress, I want to grab, I want to grope, I want to feel, I want to touch, I want to suck, I want to fuck, I want to do all that. But can't do it without permission. I was with a friend of mine once, and I had a crush on her. And me and her boyfriend were in the same band. He was a drummer, I was a guitar player, and my best friend was a singer. The band fell apart anyways, but this guy had this girlfriend. He was 17, and this girl was like 22 or 23. So the guy was underage, and he was dating her. And I was like 25, 26. Me and this girl were in the car together once. And she'd always wear short shorts, and I'd always be staring at her thighs when we were in the car, and it would drive me crazy and find myself getting a hard-on. And I just wanted to just so badly just reach over there and rub behind her knees, behind her thighs, and rub my thumb up and down. I just wanted to just touch so bad. It would drive me crazy. She caught me looking a couple times. She told me not to look. And I couldn't help it. She was dressed up in such a provocative way that was provoking me. And her and the guy didn't work out. But she wouldn't go out with me either because of my skin color. It really pissed me off, but not shit I can do about that. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, beautiful white skin. Beautiful. She looked like a godlike figure, like Barbarella with Jane Fonda. It was amazing. She had a body on her, and I was just taken in awe by her. She'd sit right next to me, and I'd see her beautiful, sexy thighs. I just had 1,000,001 fantasies playing in my head. I knew I was never going to get to ever touch her, but that's not the first time I've been in that situation. That's just one of the times. I had several other female friends who were also blonde and blue-eyed that I got to touch just a little bit. And that's about as close as I got to touching them. Another friend of mine, I gave her a massage, and I got to touch her thighs. She didn't say anything. She let me do it. I asked her if she wanted me to stop. She didn't say no. And I can keep doing what I'm doing, so I kept doing it. And it felt really, really good. I felt like I was in heaven. I felt like I was going to come just from touching her thighs. When you have Aspergers and you're obsessive compulsive like I am about sex and your paraphilias, anything goes. I've noticed this though about other fellow people with Aspergers. When you try to get them to meet, the girl that you're interested in, and it's your friends, and they that also have Aspergers, or they have social troubles with women, often they'll get in your way. They'll fall for the same girl that you go for, and they'll ruin it for you. You can't trust another person with Aspergers. That's why some Aspergers need to just stick to themselves like I do. And I got a couple friends who have Aspergers, and we don't really get along. We fight like crazy, so I don't really talk to them. We're different kinds of people. But a lot of Aspies tend to do that. Cock block. And I was in love with this girl, and it turns out my friend says he's in love with her too, and I'm like, bull fucking shit, you're not in love. But any girl I'd go for, he'd try to go for. So I felt like he was trying to just go on my territory and my turf, but that's all he knew how to do. He didn't have the strength to go out and meet women like I do. So he'd go for whatever I'd go for if I was around, and I took him places. And I ended up hating the guy eventually and dumping him after 15 years as friends. He was like a brother to me. But his mom and his family, they'd always be up in his business, so always be up in my business. It was very hard for me to really be friends with somebody like that who's conserved and who's close to their family and isn't as independent as I am. I've never really had an interest to be around other people who are more disabled than I am. I mean, no offense. I mean, I've got some friends who are more disabled than me, but I won't necessarily be around a bunch of disabled guys because they'll just go on my turf, and I can't have that. That's the greatest threat and danger to me. That's why I'm a lone Aspie, a lone wolf in the shadows. This calms me down a lot. Otherwise, I'd be super angry. Another thing I would say, I said this before, I believe I said this anyways, that Aspergers, violence, hypersexuality all mesh together. Because violence and sex go hand in hand. Those who have the potential for violence have very high sex drives, and it's a fact. And I was learning from an article today. Obama said the CDC isn't allowed to study violence and sex because the government won't allow it. To see how it correlates, the CDC wants to study the brain. And I think that's a good thing for science. The CDC were to study that. Unfortunately, we got people in the government that are against all that. We got Christian people who are against science. Me, I'm a big believer in science. Even though I'm completely against the COVID vaccine, I do believe in science. And I can tell you when your hormones are raging, basically that's what it feels like. 'Cause at the time when that girl was in the car with me, or she was driving and I couldn't stop looking at her, I was still a virgin at the time, and I wanted to get it on. And I was hard up for it, and I was desperate for it. But it didn't get me anywhere. Honestly, I look back, I should have gone to like a massage parlor a lot sooner. Then I wouldn't have been as angry about it and as bitter and as resentful as I am now. Sex is very important for somebody like me. I can't go without it. I cannot go. I have to have it. It's my drug of choice. It's my addiction. It's an addiction, just like this could be considered an addiction. Or a beer, which I'm about to drink right now, could be considered an addiction. A cup of coffee. Sex. It's what I want. I long for it. I hunger for it. It's what I want. And whoever is ever going to be my girlfriend, if I ever have one again, there's got to be someone that understands that. They have to give me that in order for me to be with them, in order for me to have any kind of feeling for them. They got to be physically open with me. And they got to give themselves to me 110%. Not 50%, not 20%, not 30%, not 60%, 100%. 110 to be precise. That's important because if you don't have that, that'll be the end of everything. You won't have a relationship. You'll be searching and searching and searching and searching, like I've done. You won't find the answers you're looking for. So, just try to find out what your paraphilias are and write them down. Study each one and remember how you got into it and what caused it. Mine goes back to childhood. I was 3 years old, and I don't know if I saw a picture of Marilyn Monroe or what it was. I mean, I always knew that I liked legs. I liked looking at women in stockings. I used to like touching. Even as a little baby, I had that interest. What you do even as a kid follows you into adulthood. But it is what it is, right?